Well, the Avs got to show up to finish their homestand strong. This is the Toyota Lounge for the DNVR Avalanche pregame show, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealers and brought to you by Coors Light. The Avs taking on the Florida Panthers. They're 2-0-1 on the homestand, but you'd feel a lot better if they finish this one 3-0-1. On the Avs side, expectations are pretty much the same lineup, barring any last-minute changes. On Florida's side, might be a lineup the Avs can take advantage of a little bit with their defense down a couple of guys, E.
Well, I think you can take advantage of that team tonight for that matter.
Yeah.
You got last change. Not that Bednar matches lines or whatever. There was a question this morning, somebody asked him about that, but about matching, and his answer is always the same one.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it is reality. When you're missing a couple key pieces on the back end, bigger bodies, guys that have experience, guys that play a lot of minutes, then somehow you can expose them. So I do believe that you'll see a better effort from the Avalanche tonight. I do believe. God, I hate his name there. Great story, Fellhaber.
Felleber, yeah.
Felleber. He's in, and obviously Double O's gone. That the experiment didn't last too long. There was a shift there last game and blew a little bit of snow in the corner, and you never saw him again. So it is what it is. Whatever. But other than that, you do expect a little bit of oomph from the Avalanche tonight. A little bit of oomph.
We'll see. We'll see exactly what they do. All I care is that they get a win. Not really.
You're going to need oomph to win.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Not going to argue with that one. But I guess my question is, you were at morning skate. Is there a noticeably different vibe coming off of a game like that? Did things feel a little bit slow and lackadaisical going into that Montreal game? Do they feel different for this one?
Yeah, I mean, remember rewind the tape to last pregame. I said, hey, the practice at Family Sports the day before, the guys were pumped. Their emotional high from the Buffalo game, and I really thought it was going to translate and obviously leak into the game against Montreal. It didn't happen. Maybe that's the old 6 in a row, 7 in a row, emotional letdown a little bit where, we'll get away with it. And they almost did. They almost got away with it. I would tell you that this morning it was a little bit more crisp, for a morning skate. Obviously, they didn't skate yesterday. So it was kind of a full participants pretty much except Druin, but he's back. Just maintenance. But so everyone was out there to get their legs going. Some guys were flying. I felt MacKinnon was flying. Again, it's rare. I don't judge anyone on morning skates ever, but he jumped at me this morning that, wow, he was flying. You know what I mean? So hopefully it translated into tonight. But, again, Stanley Cup champs, there's always measuring sticks. This is a night tonight where you're going to have to be a little bit more vested emotionally than you were last game, especially in the offensive zone, like Bednar talked about after last game. Not necessarily defensively. They did fine against a Montreal team that has been scoring lately, but they did more than fine. It's just on the offensive side of things, they weren't really – the heart rates weren't going. They were easy. They were looking for the easy game, and that's kind of what it felt like. And at the end, it just kind of bit them a little bit, right?
Yep. Well, as you mentioned, Jonathan Druin is good to go. Will play tonight, but we can check our updated injury list here as the guys that remain injured for the Avs. It's still hard to expect too many of them back anytime soon. The only one that might be back reasonably soon is Nichushkin, and even he is probably more of a week plus out still. Just not week, 2 week.
Yeah, and it was nice to see him out there this morning before practice. He looked pretty much at ease out there. Same thing with Ivan. Same thing with Gabe. Obviously, Gabe was skating there with Toby Peterson, their skills coach, and they were out there before practice. But it's always a good sign when you're out there especially when it's a lower body injury. For example, Valerie Natushkin. You know what I mean? Like, we all knew Druin was not a lower body. We all knew Manson was not a lower body. They were skating. But when it's a lower body and you're skating, that means you're getting there. You're getting close.
True.
You know what I mean? So that's always a good sign. I'm not saying he's in next game. I'm just saying it was kind of nice to see him out there and skate with, pretty good movements out there. So, yeah. So that's where they're at. I don't anticipate anything day to day coming up, you know what I mean? Like of guys coming back, but
unfortunately, we're in the part of the season where no news is kind of bad.
yeah,
news
that's right.
on
And
the
again, Miles
injuries.
Wood and stuff not skating, Shillington not skating. Gabe is Gabe. We're not touching that here. We are not touching that. And that's going to happen when that's going to happen. And other than that's where they're at. So. And Wedgwood, didn't sound as bad listening to Coach a couple days ago, and so it sounds like it won't be as bad as anticipated. Like it looked really bad on the play, right? So we're not gonna rehash the play. I don't want you to jump and go across the new Toyota trucks in front of us.
Well, we'll see. Eric, you talked a little bit about potential line matching. We do have Jared Bednar's presser here, so let's hear from him on what he has to say about facing the defending Cup champs.
Go ahead, guys.
Coach, no Druin out there. You guys expect him to go tonight? Or
Yeah, we are. It's just maintenance for now.
Looking at two very offensive teams, maybe a goalie battle tonight.
I don't know. They're a well-rounded team. They score a lot because they play extremely hard, but they're a good checking team too. Like, they're going to take time and space away from you. They're going to run into every chance they get. So this is a difficult team to create offense against, no question. So it's going to take a little bit of everything tonight. We're going to have to play a very well-rounded, very disciplined, hard-fought game.
Jared, another 10 games have come and gone. You're 7-2-1 in your last 10, and then tonight is the official halfway point of the season.
Yeah.
How would you assess the first half of the season, and then especially these last 10?
Yeah, I'd say really good. Whenever you're sitting there at a chance to go 41, you'd give us 25 wins. Goals always try to win 50. I think if you go segments, we're 5-5, 6-4, 6-4, 7-2-1. So I think we're figuring some things out all the while missing key components to our team, So I would say, slow start, probably some of that a little bit expected, but now looking back after 40, pretty good first half.
Coach, when you're looking at challenge goaltender interference, is there anything you look for? Is it just kind of a roll of the dice?
No, it's not a roll of the dice. There's lots of things that we look for. Does he go in on his own? Does he get pushed in? And then does the goalie have time to get reset? You always got to look at the blue paint too. So there's a bunch of things. We have a checklist that we have to go through based on what the league's told us, and that's how we do it.
I mean, one game's a little hard to go off of too, but Feldhaber gets the call back up too.
Yeah.
What have you kind of seen from him since signing that contract?
Yeah, well, he's been good there the whole year. Pretty steady player within the role on his team. A lot like, I guess you take a forward version of Keaton Middleton, but he's been producing some offense down there. Plays against a lot of tough matchups. He's played well. He's played hard for them down there and done a nice job. It's why he got the contract and the call up the first time. We've looked at some other guys since, but I think he's a good winger to call up for that fourth line role for us, maybe provide a little bit of energy. He played a good game in Vancouver, even though it was limited minutes. He was in the right spots, doing the right things. He's a competitor.
You're never afraid to go best on best, but is Barkov one of those guys that maybe changes that a little bit when you have the last change?
Yeah, it just depends on how the game's going. I don't like the way we deploy our top guys. We may play best on best for a bit, and then icings, guys tired, we'll jump them out and move away from that matchup a little bit as well too. So it just depends on the success they're having and what the other lines are doing as well.
At the beginning of the season, you said with all the injuries that your expectations for compete, effort, and all that hadn't changed, but you were assessing the results and things like that a little bit differently. How have you kind of shifted from beginning of the season where there were a bunch of injuries, still having guys bang up now, but we are at the halfway point? How have your expectations shifted this year?
Well, I don't know that they've shifted. I think it's like you're just trying to maximize what you can get out of the group you got, you know? And so at the start of the year, I don't think we were getting that. We probably had a little lower expectations being the start of the year, lots of new guys missing a lot of key pieces. But as you kind of move on, you're coaching every day for months and you expect the players that you have to get better at what they're doing within the structure of your game and chip in more on the offensive side of it. And so you want to get stingier on the defensive side. You want to get more dangerous on the offensive side, at least from a chance production standpoint. I think we've had a lot of growth in a lot of our guys that have played. I think some of the guys that got called up have done a nice job for long stretches. I think some of our role players have really stepped up. I really like what the Kelly, Kivirant, and OC line's doing for us. They're playing tough minutes against top lines, playing against checking lines, filling in a lot of tough minutes on the penalty kill and still chipping in some production. The MacKinnon line, regardless of who we have them with, has been really good. We wanted to get a little more out of our second line. It's come a little bit here recently. So I think all in all, it's like this sort of long-term task doesn't change. We still want to get better line by line, player by player, and as a full team at doing what we want to do better and more consistently as the year goes on to set ourselves up for, you know, the playoffs so we can get there.
Do you, obviously the results have been better since you got the new goalies, and the analytics stuff has been kind of a little bit up and down, but better probably than it was at the beginning of the season. Is there like just a couple things that you're like, regardless of health, like these are kind of like the finishing touches that we need over the next X amount of games?
It's too early. It's like, I say this all the time, it's like a boat, you know, like one thing's broken, you plug the hole and then another hole pops up someplace else. It's everything. It's like you're constantly working on every aspect of your game, but like something will give you trouble and something will get really good, and then you'll pay attention to that for, you know, 3, 4, 5 days, and then something else pops up, you know. So, but you cycle through all that stuff dozens of times through the year and still kind of get your team playing to an identity, and by the time you hit the end of the season, you've gone through it so much that you're expecting a lot. Like you're trying to play mistake-free hockey and still be super dangerous on the offensive side of it. So, like we're not keying in on one thing right now. There's still a lot of things that we go through on a daily, weekly basis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So there you go, from the head coach himself. Let's face it, it's not a complicated conversation. If you want to put yourself in a winning position, you got to be able to beat good teams, like the Florida Panthers. Doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as you do it.
And like we were just talking about, I mean, are they the best team in hockey this year? No. But are they the defending champs? Yes. And that, I think that's very important. And I think that you better be on top of your game because they got some weapons. They got some weapons that can hurt you. They know how to win, obviously. They've been to the finals the last 2 years. So these guys know how to do it. Bobrovsky knows how to do it. And it's funny. I'm going to say it again. I said it last game. I'll say it tonight. It's funny to see, especially teams from the East, in the tunnel there, just kind of looking at the Avs practice and just watching. It's so funny, you know what I mean? Because they're guys are almost giddy, you know what I mean? And Paul Maurice, I was there for his presser, and right away, like talking about, you know, young guys and getting more in the lineup because of their injuries on the back end, and he's like laughing almost. He's like, yeah, pretty good test for those guys, you know, MacKinnon, Rantanen, Makar. He's like, you know, it's funny because it's like we get to see it every day. We live it every day as fans, as management, as teammates, you know. But when you come in and you're from the East and you look at that, it's scary. It is scary, you know what I mean? So it's kind of fun. It's exciting, and it was funny to see tonight. But it's funny to hear it from, you know, the Stanley Cup champion coach, you know, saying like, that's a big test for us. And we're saying, oh, that's a big test for the Avalanche because they're the champs. So it
goes both ways.
Mutual respect there is pretty cool.
Well, Lee, how can the Avs best use those weapons? Give me your 3 keys for tonight's game.
Yes. So basically, I went heart rate's up as key number 1. Very important to bring your heart rate up. I felt, like I said, in the offensive zone last game, it wasn't there. I didn't feel it was really there for the Buffalo game till the end. Obviously, that ended up being spectacular. But bring the energy level a few notches, match the intensity and more. Because they got some guys like the Matthew Tkachuks and the Sam Bennetts and, guys that can bring the intensity, guys that can poke your feelings a little bit. So you better be able to work and outmatch their intensity or you're in for a long night. Number 2, quick outs. Florida still plays that way. They're the best at it. They're the best at recovering rims. They like to dump the puck. They like to go and work down low, and they're very good because they do have some skill. And then they pounce on your Ds. The Avalanche are going to have to be ready if they can get the puck out. Have a plan before it's dumped in. Have a plan. It's not just like, I'll back up. Know where it's going. Talk about it on the bench because it's not like they're doing it once. They're doing it a lot.
Yep.
So be ready to go and then shut down their weapon that way by just getting it out somehow. Quick outs. And I think the Avalanche, obviously, they have the weapons to do that, and that's one of their specialties is to make sure that they do get out quickly. Number 3 is 5-man units. I think it's, step up the tightness in all 3 zones. I think, like Bednar said, they did fine on the D zone, okay in the neutral zone, and really too loose in the offensive zone in the sense that there was no 5-man units.
Far too casual.
Too casual. And then, also creating the offensive zone with it, control the neutral zone with it, and definitely win the game with it in the defensive zone, which you were more than fine last game on it. So you do that, again, fun games to play against opponents that you don't see a lot. Obviously, these guys won last year, so it's always fun to make sure that you go and punch them in the mouth as much as you can.
Yep. You expect it to be a good game tonight. You don't expect anything too easy, and you don't want to give away anything too easy. And that's how it's supposed to be when 2 good teams go and face each other. As far as Chad is concerned, you couldn't pay me to trade for JT Miller right now, but
What are you going to give him? Miko?
they said Nichushkin and Middlestat for Miller.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. But whatever. I like JT Miller, a good player, but it's obviously something's off there. You know what I mean? There's something off. I don't know the real story. I don't want to speculate on the real story because that's not fair. But there's something off. I don't understand how 2 guys can't get, along on the ice like we were talking about off air. Buddy, nobody's asking you to go play Xbox together or go eat every night together, but they're just expecting you to backtrack together and make plays together. That's not that hard. That's your job, So something deeper to it, who knows? None of our business. But yeah, again, they're all good players.
Of course.
Matushkin's a good player. Middlestat's a good player. Miller's a good player. It is what it is. Something's going to happen, but I don't believe it's going to be here.
I don't think it can be, even if they wanted it to. I don't know how they make it fit.
Exactly.
So it is what it is. For the Avs front tonight, look, I think the easiest thing here is let's see the Avs show some consistent pace tonight. Whether you get a lead, whether you're ahead, whether you're behind, whether you're tied, whatever it is, don't fall asleep for stretches of this game the way you did against Montreal. And I don't think they will. I think that they'll take Florida a little bit more seriously as a good team. But you have to be able to show that you can be consistent. As Eric said, if you can't be consistent against the defending Cup champs, who are you going to do it against?
And again, I'm going to add a little more to it, and I just thought about it listening to you talk there. Mackenzie Blackwood, all right? Been awesome since he's been here. You're playing Bobrovsky, that's been in the finals the last 2 years.
Yep.
You know what? You talk about a measuring stick. We talked about this about Georgi. Be better than the guy down the freaking street from you. Be better than him. And that's a challenge that Mackenzie Blackwood can challenge himself tonight and take a lesson from Bobrovsky. It's not like Bob was stellar, for the years before that. He was not even the starter in the playoffs 2 years ago. They
Was
had
by the
Alex
end of it,
line.
but
by the
yeah.
end of it, he was. But so it's like, yeah. So we all go through our ups and downs in our careers and their careers, but he put himself pretty straight, just like Blackwood has had a pretty steady couple years now, but no playoff action. Well, start with him and start challenging yourself against Bobrovsky tonight. And then, you know what? Be the wood shop or whatever you want to call that and beat Bob up. What about Bob? And that's what we'll talk about after the game.
We'll see.
We want him to go, what about Bob? I'm the man,
Hard to argue with Blackwood's body of work for the Avs so far.
Awesome.
There's no doubt about that. Let's see what he can do against a high-end team.
That's right.
Some high-end talent in that forward core, too, for sure. Also, prevent the ex-player curse of Erod scoring on you too.
Or AJ Greer.
Yeah, well,
Not enough body of work there.
yeah, barely an ex-player, but I guess he did put up points against the Avs the last time they played. So
Did he?
I think he had one. Yeah, not.
Did he?
I'd have to go look to be sure, but I'm pretty sure.
AJ Greer.
Anyway, let's get into our crystal ball predictions for this one. Give me a score. Give me somebody who's going to pop
All right.
off.
I mean, again, I'm taking the easy answer. It's just from what I saw today. It jumped at me. I thought MacKinnon was absolutely dynamite this morning, and it's usually not like that. So does that mean it's going to translate tonight? I'm hoping so. Didn't have a big night offensively last game. So, again, Stanley Cup champs. I'm picking the easy pick in MacKinnon. Sorry. But I'm going to go 3-2, and it might be an overtime game. You know, that's just the fight.
Boy.
I know it's the 4-3 league now, but I'm going to go old school 3-2 game tonight.
I'm down for the 3-2, but please no overtime. It's supposed to snow tonight. We got to get out of here, man. All right, come on, give me a break for that. I'm good, like I said, with 3-2, but I'm going to take another cop-out answer, and I'm going to take Mikko Rantanen to be the guy tonight. Not because of Mikko necessarily, but I think the guy that people want Mikko Rantanen to be is Matthew Tkachuk. That when people see Mikko, they want him to have that physical edge. They want him to have more power forward in his game. And that's what Matthew Tkachuk does. So maybe Mikko sees that guy across the ice from him and says, I can be better than that guy. I can go out and beat that guy tonight by myself.
Different. I know what you're saying. Exactly. I know you're saying that.
Mikko's not that guy mentality-wise, but yeah.
But they're both 100-point guys. And,
yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
That's what I'm
Matthew
saying.
gets there a different way than Mikko gets there a different way. But you're right. I mean, it is that. It's why not? Go challenge yourself. I mean, MacKinnon, why wouldn't you want to challenge yourself against Barkov tonight?
Yep.
Or if you're Barkov, why wouldn't you want to challenge yourself against MacKinnon? There's a lot of beautiful little games tonight. You know what I mean? Like Gustav Forsland. You're not Makar, but it's a great story. It's a waiver pickup years back. One of the best Ds in the league now. I mean, it's been awesome. Now, okay, well, I'm going to be dynamite tonight like Makar is usually for his Avalanche. So, yeah, there's a lot of stories tonight, a lot of little games within the game. And same thing, Bednar, like, hey, I got a cup 2 years ago. Well, you got a cup last year, so beat it, bud. You know what I mean? All that good.
You said it. The MacKinnon, Barkov, and Druin will always be connected.
Well, that's right. 1, 2, 3.
One pick different, and maybe one of those dudes is playing in Florida instead of. I guess Druin played for Tampa, but not Florida Panthers.
Druin was 4, right?
Druin was 3. Jones was 4.
Yeah, that's right. Barkov 2. Yeah.
Yep.
Who was 4?
Seth Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, the Avs were going to take Seth Jones. Remember, everybody was saying they were taking Barkov, but whatever. No, it was Mac. It was the right pick, and you can see it now. But again, couldn't have gone wrong anyway. I mean, Barkov's a pretty good player.
Yep. Certainly those first 2 picks have worked out for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
So, is what it is on that front. We got a couple more things to talk about, but let's get into my pregame picks from Bet365, where things are never ordinary. I kind of did tail on E's pick tonight. I did go big on MacKinnon, but I also said, you know what? I think these 2 good teams, they're not going to crack early, so I took no goal in the first 10 minutes. Taking the Jonathan Druin assist. I'm taking Nathan MacKinnon to score 2 or more goals tonight. Probably throw a Barkov pick in there, too, if you want the 1, 2, 3 pick angle. That's a parlay for you right there.
I like it.
Jump in with Bet365 to put down whatever bets you're feeling for this game or any other game. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. As we wind down this pregame show, E, I gotta ask, and look, I think based on the conversations we've had, based on those bets there, we're looking at the Avs' best players to step up and do a lot of work against a good team. But would it not be nice to see the Avs' depth get a little bit of something against a quality opponent?
I said it last game, remember, before the game, and you had another game there. And again, it's hard to complain a little bit because it's been there, but I just feel it's been there in pockets. You know what I mean? And
It's just not like
it's not consistent.
They're depth players.
You know what I
They're
mean?
not supposed to score every night, but they're also supposed to score more than once every 7th game.
That's my point. I just feel that it's kind of like in pockets. There's too many stretches in between that they don't produce, and then you need it on a game like last game, and you don't get it, and you're one short, right? You know, so I think tonight it'd be nice for them to get on the board. I think they want to get on the board. Like I always said, I think as coaches, you'll never say like, hey, we don't want you to get, we don't need you to score goals, but we don't want you to score goals. Yeah, but somewhere, somehow, you want to challenge yourself too, to help out. You want to challenge yourself too, to bring in a little bit of help. And like I said, and I'm going to go back to my line, if there's no emotions out there, and you're not going to help out offensively, you got to help out on the bringing the heart rate up, so to speak, thing. And it's not about fighting. It's not what I'm saying. But you got to create a little bit of buzz. It could be a great shift. It could be a great shift in the offensive zone, followed by the first line going out there scoring a goal, right? You got to create a buzz. You got to get out there. You can't just blend in when, sure, you're winning 4-0. The top end guys are flying. You want to blend in and make sure you don't get scored on. I got no issues. I'm all good. But all of a sudden, if it's flat, there's nothing happening, you need a little bit of oomph. Like, you got to step up, buddy.
Yeah.
You got to do something.
The Avs' last depth goal before Christmas. Kiviranta's hat trick was the last depth goal
that's what I
scored by
said.
the
And
Avs.
Kivi's going to go 15 now without one.
It's been-
He's been great. That's not what I'm saying. It's just I feel it's like this though,
They've picked up an assist or two on shifts when they're elevated in the lineup, playing in the top 6.
Yeah.
But it's been over 2 weeks since the Avs' last depth goal.
Yeah,
You need more than that.
Yeah, we need a little bit more tonight, especially tonight. You know what I mean? Because I do. If you look at Florida's third line, those guys can produce. Fourth line, okay, it's limited, but right now, if you do the math with the Avs' third and fourth lines, there's not a lot of production there,
Yep.
So that might bite you tonight. Where the back end is probably better on the Avs
Certainly
side of things.
with the injuries that Florida has.
And then the goalies, you're like, well, awesome. Blackwood's been great, and he's on an upswing, and the other guy's a Stanley Cup champ. So I think there's some ways that you can look at this game and nitpick it, and from D to forwards to goalie. It's a fun night to look at it that way.
I mean, the reality is you'd love to win the same way every night, but that's not how the real world works. So sometimes you need something a little bit different to get you across the finish line.
That's right.
That's all. That's all I'm saying on that one. We'll leave it at that. This game is less than 10 minutes from starting here, so we're going to wrap up this pregame show, but we do have a watch-along coming your way, so join us for that. Come enjoy the game with us, whatever happens, and then we'll be live post-game breaking it all down if you'll at least join us there. So we appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. We'll talk to you in a few minutes here on the watch-along, and enjoy the hockey game.
We all silly like the mayor.